All right. Hey, good evening, everyone. I am here with Purple Rapunzel, also known as Dr. Constance Leyland of Level Up Academy, and our publicity queen. And apparently, she took that very literal. So, hello, CJ. And whose crown is this?
It's mine. Duh. I will level it up as soon as I level it up. Listen, I love wearing, Willie J comes into our show and he wears, this and then his earbuds. I can't really put earbuds because I get migraines from too much in here, right? So I was like, sometimes I wear it, sometimes I don't. I have like 15 million of them. But I was like, I'm just gonna put the crown. That's all. That's all. And it's Domestic Violence Month this month as well as Filipino Heritage Month. But purple is the color for this month for domestic violence. Hence my Rapunzel purple hair. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I did not prepare my slides today, so check it out. So, while that's up there awkwardly, so what do you have going on? Because you have the anthology coming up, right? We want to tell folks about that. And we also have the podcast circuit. You have, I can't keep up with you. So tell people at least three, not all 30, three of the top things that you have going on right now that they can plug into, please, ma'am.
The first one I definitely think is the anthology. So if you're thinking of writing in a book, your own, it's going to be possible, but it actually takes a long time on your own. And it costs a lot of money from marketing to editing to copy editing to book cover. We do everything for you, including marketing. And I will throw in that you can get a TV show on Roku, Amazon, Fire, Apple TV, because all my authors and co-authors are going to get that. If you are, and if you're just a client, if you're not an author, it's $150 per 45 minutes, right? So being an author gives you that perk. The second thing that's happening for us is the podcast circuit. This is actually connected with the Hounds of Business as well. For those of you who are starting out and you don't know what to do or what's happening, podcast is the way. It gives you time to figure out your own content. It gives you time to actually get to know people as well, right? And then the third one is my Level Up magazine, because I'm going to be looking for 10 top 10 2025 inspirational and amazing person out there that we're going to manifest to do something big next year. So that's the three things.
There you go. Everybody catch that? I hope so. And there's sirens going off for the last 30 minutes, like fire truck back here. And I can't figure it out. I keep walking out like an old man going, looking for a fire. I don't see anything. It's just
You're on your
straight. Right.
firefighter mode.
Yeah, I'm kind of like doing something. It's funny because I've been out of the fire. Oh my gosh, what was it, 2007? And I still get that kind of, I see the fire truck and I'm all like, sometimes. But here's the deal, I would never do it again. And they said, well, how do you know? Listen, I won't even get the dog toy off my roof. It's been there for 2 years now, right? Like, so I've changed a little bit. I'm, I'm not saying I'm more chicken. I'm just wiser. I'm like, that looks high and I'm okay with it, right? Like, I'm not now, if there was a baby up there, yeah, I'd jump up there and get it, but I don't do things just for fun like I used to. So let's see. We got Olu. Olu, good to see you. There's Susanna, of
Yeah.
course. Always Susanna. Susanna's the one helping and making the book thing happen. Ooh, Susanna, I hope you're getting rest because I'm writing this book, right?
Uh,
You okay?
she is the project lead on this one. This is Susanna's book about belonging. We're gonna have an audio
Ooh,
room on Friday, late Friday night, with Dr. New as well about belonging. It's important. It's important conversation.
good. Well, hey, before we roll the intro, because I want to get to our guest, this is a very important topic, a very inspirational person, and I'm super honored to have her here and to share what she has been doing and how other folks can plug into this. So, real quick, had to give a shout out to Tanya Eberhardt, Michael Carr of Brand Face. Uh, Last week, I showed you guys, right? And I'll try to find it again. I showed you. I had two people say, hey, Mike, because I'm the connector, right? And they said, who do you know in branding? And I didn't say a word. I said, hang on a second. I showed my old brand
Mhm.
and I said, yeah, there you go. Enough. He's like, oh, yeah, we're going to call. So I love it. Again, the proof's in the pudding, right? We know people do things like why go to CJ for help? Because she exploded her YouTube. She knows what she's doing, right? It's obvious. And so these guys are amazing and they're big hearted. They got a lot to offer folks. So go check them out. They've got a group call that they also have like podcasts where they can put them on their podcast or connect you with other folks. So just go connect with them because, hey, birds of a feather flock together and always good things happen from it. And let's see. Oh, yes, I'm so glad I didn't skip this. Look at these rock stars. So honored to have them in the Hounds of Business. And they are doing an educational presentation. So if you got to hear 2 weeks ago on the audio, that's all you need to know. But if you missed the audio, here's your chance. All right. They're going to speak for 15 minutes next Monday at 12 Eastern time, New York City time. And this is not a cheap ass infomercial. Okay. Understand they're giving out good gold nuggets. So if you lead a department, organization, you're a CEO, department head, there's going to be a lot of information for you to plug into on this. Okay. These folks are rock stars, also in corporate, but now they do things on their own, right, to help other people in the corporate entities. So make sure you guys plug into this. This was so awesome for the audio. I want to make sure everybody plugs in. It's on my profile. So if you go to my profile on LinkedIn and you go to the feature section, it's right there. All right. And one more, there's the guy himself, right? This guy ran Scott Air Force Base. Okay. He knows. And here's what I like about Scott Heathman, right? You can go to his website, elevatingothersllc.com. And this guy, the colonel, people would follow him if they didn't have to. That's what I love about this guy. He's just a good guy. He led from the front. People love being around him, and he brings that experience and the knowledge of business to different organizations now. So EQ, team dynamics, there's nothing he can't do. So go check him out. He'll also, of course, be on the educational presentation. Super honored for that. So what do you say? How about we run the intro and get this going? I cannot wait.
Let's go.
Sound good? Drum
Yeah,
roll. You gonna do that? Where's that drum roll? You had like a 10-minute drum roll this morning, didn't you?
I know. Well, this is not mine. This is yours.
I just saw a tiny monkey over there going like, "Or can I stop now, CJ?
Stop it
Dang
now.
gummit." All right, let's go.
Let's go.
Are you looking to grow your network and your net worth with other high-level, heart-centered professionals? Then grab a seat and your favorite beverage and join Mike Asherbranner, the Redneck Connector. It's time for the Hounds of Business Community Happy Hour.
All right, now we're in go mode. Let me go real quick. This is how I remember it. All right, because my memory is really little. But I met this lady, Agape, right? And I think she came to a group call. I can't even remember how. She might have to fill me in. But instantly, I was like, you know what? There's something here. She's doing some special things. And as I heard her talk, it didn't take long to realize, wow, she's doing some amazing stuff and she's overcome a lot to get here. So then I said, I can tell birds of a feather flock together. So I said, hey, let me introduce you to CJ. And that relationship took off from 0 to a million really quick. So I gave her to CJ. And then what happened, CJ?
Well, you're like, hey, I have Agape. And I'm like, okay. That was like Friday. And then Saturday, we're like, hey, do you want to see today? And she's like, no, I'm moving things. I'm like, fine. How about Tuesday next week? He's like, fine. And then you're like, Sunday after audio room, he's like, oh, you might want to meet Tyrell. I'm like, sure. And I forgot that I scheduled Agape on that Tuesday, but I didn't want to cancel it. I'm like, oh, I'll meet Agape for like in person 30 minutes Starbucks. And while we were at Starbucks, I was really like magnetized for her story. She's so raw, but yet she's so authentic, and I could feel like, her plight. And I was like, oh, I want to help her, right? And then I said,
Mhm.
oh, I have another meeting with Mike and Tyrell. She goes, do you want me to go? I'm like, heck no. Here's the link. Let's go. And her and I literally were sitting in front of each other doing the Zoom with you, Tyrell, Eamon, and myself. That was amazing. That was amazing.
So much fun. Yeah. And again, not about me. We didn't sit down and have coffee chat about blah, blah, blah and try to sell each other stuff. I was like, hey, there's something good here. Let me give you somebody who can help you. And boom, right? So you want to bring her on?
Yeah, please do.
Right, makes sense. Yeah. Here she is. No drum roll. Tell the monkey it can have a break. We're good. Agape, how are you? You can't drink when I'm talking. Come on now. Hi, Agape. How are you today?
I'm good. Thank you for having me here.
Oh, my pleasure. So, CJ, are you good now? You got your crown on, everything?
Yeah, I like to drink, like hydrate myself. I got my beautiful bag that holds my hydration. I mean, come on, right? I am extra. That's just who I am. That's how I was born, I guess, and made. But anyhow, Agape, sister, it's so nice to have you here at HOB. You have so much to say, and we have so little time. So I want to make sure that everyone knows who you are, what you stand for, and if anybody out there actually is looking for someone who's skilled at research, who's passionate, who have the skills to do it, it would be you. Like I would not say that just to anybody. So let's back down because we have an event this Sunday. We get to dress up, we get to eat without Mike. Oh my God. We'll bring you though. I'm gonna go FaceTime you and your wife and be like, who's that? It's CJ and Agape. Um, because I want to
Feed me a sandwich over Zoom. Yeah, let's see that happen.
seriously. And here's the thing. I want to, before we talked about what we are going to do and what we're about, I want to actually get to know you. I want people to get to know who is Agape and why are you so passionate about CDV, confronting domestic violence? Tell us.
Well, okay, that is a mouthful. Let's see. I actually survived a double attempted homicide about 20 years ago. I was 8 months pregnant. I was over 1,000 miles away from home. I had just left everything willingly, and everything that I worked for my entire life was stripped away in the matter of 15 minutes. And I had a baby on the way in 45 days with a 8-year-old daughter. I was high risk. I had nowhere to go. I had no family, no friends, no income, no nothing. I had to figure it out. And so navigating those uncharted waters and going through things that people would probably not be able to endure themselves, I have decided that giving back and helping others not go through what I experienced is my purpose. And that was actually discovered about 3 years ago when I was in a major car accident and only left with a 1% chance of surviving. I wasn't fighting for myself. Something bigger was fighting for me. I couldn't figure it out. I had no idea. I petitioned and petitioned the answer. And finally, it was brought to me that I need to talk about post traumatic growth. And I need to really find a way to fill gaps of real time needs when there's real time victims out there looking for that next resource. And so confronting domestic violence was born from the ICU, but there is so much experience and wisdom and boots on the ground that's put into it. This is my heart is beating inside.
That is a lot. Like when you told me about that and you showed me those pictures, I mean, I told you my hair was gone up. And the next sentence is, how can I help you? Like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm not a rich person, but how can I help you? And you're like, well, speaking of help, this is what we did. I mean, we met like Tuesday and then I was on the board on Friday. Like, it was so crazy fast.
Yeah, because what you were saying is that authenticity, it's not just one-sided, it has to be both. And I believe, like Mike was saying earlier, birds of a feather flock together. And it's like when you know that your energy is being matched, it's just something that's instinctive. And like you said, we had a 30-minute ordeal planned and it ended up being like 90 minutes. We couldn't separate. It was just so much there.
Yeah, and then we Zoom after that, and then we chat after that, and then like a couple of days later, I give you two referrals because all of a sudden, I told my girlfriend, she's like, "Oh, I think CJ does domestic violence." I'm like, "CJ does not, but CJ does know somebody who can help you, right?" Like just like Mike, right? If Mike wasn't there, he's the catalyst of everything. If you think about it, this wouldn't happen between us if Mike wasn't there, right?
Oh my gosh, absolutely. And let me tell you, since Mike asked, how did she get here? Hello, Tanya through Brand Face is the one that connected us.
Hello, Tanya. You see? This
Yeah.
is why having the same type of people and mentality, it's not all about like Hounds of Business. We hear a lot of negativity and level up or whatever, but at the end of the day, if you're not ready for us, then the energy is reciprocated. That's all I'm going to say with that. But if you are ready and you are a business person and you're ready to rock and roll, because we can't pour, and give if you don't reciprocate that energy, right? We're not talking about financial. We're talking about friendship and things like that. Expand on that, Mike, before my next question to Agape.
Yeah, no, it has nothing to do with status, all right? It has to do with your alignment. Where are you? Right? I didn't care if she already had a successful worldwide thing or if it was just getting started. I didn't ask all that. First of all, I just saw who she was, heard her story. And personally, I mean, even if I don't personally relate to it, I did in this case. I had a family member who was a victim of domestic violence, right? So those kind of things really stick out to me. But I saw how she conducted herself when she spoke from the heart, and those things matter to me, right? So it didn't take me long to say, hey, I know we can really get some visibility on this. We can really help people. And I send her to you, right? So I don't send this to anybody to you. I send people I know. I'm like, wow. And that's what I mean. We don't worry about how to get what we want. We talk about that all the time, but you're seeing it real time. Look, we're wanting people that are just ready to go next level. All the stuff in the world that we have a problem with or that we hate, all the negativity on the news, we feel like we're powerless, but you have something. All this stuff that you want to do in life. Look at COVID. Look at COVID. This is why I like Agape so much because she didn't sit around and wait for someone else to do it. She just went and did it. She didn't go to school for that. She didn't, like she had no specialty. She just like somebody's got to do it. And since COVID, we see that. We see school teachers just making stuff happen, right? Wow, Rochelle's in oncology making things happen, increasing survivor rates. And this is what the PAC stands for. Yeah, we want to level up. We want to grow our businesses. But after that, after we make money, what's it about? I'll tell you what it's about. I can support organizations like this on my own dollar, right? And right now we can go out there and get the support so we can get it done before I can just do it myself. That's the heart attitude behind the PAC. And that's what's required if we're going to run together and cut that mold. So excited that you two did what I knew you all would do as the
Did Mike just froze? Did we all froze?
Just Mike.
Yes, Mike. Oh, look at him. He's sleeping on his own show. We're going to give him credit. Oh my gosh. I know, but he's right though. Like I actually asked him, like, Mike, don't send me no crazy. Look, he just unfroze himself. He knows, like, don't send me no crazy because I can't handle it, right? And Mike knows that I literally love people who loves people and reciprocate love, care, and acceptance. And like Mike said, right? We're not just talking about money. Yeah, you make money, but after that, what happens, right? Like right now, Susanna is all of our books that we're doing for this anthology is going to go to CDV. I don't know how much that will be, but anybody who purchased that book, ebook and physical book, goes towards your costs, right? And because we believe in it. If no one else cares about other people, who will? Who will? Right? That's just, I mean, it's so precious that you're doing it. And so my next question is, what motivated you to become involved in raising this awareness? I understand that you had your own domestic violence happen to you, but there's so many men and women out there who have experience, but they don't go all out. Like, have you seen yourself? You went all out, from research to analytics to networking to event planning, all in one, Agape. So, what does that mean to you? Like, how is that journey shaping your professional and personal skills in life?
Wow, that is a mouthful, and I believe I can answer that. I'll start with personal, and personal is, really understanding nobody knows you better than you, right? So if you know that you're struggling with depression, anxiety, the blankets of doubts, that inner critic, it's really being able to know how to intercept that and recondition, like retrain the brain, right? Because there is such a thing that's called post-traumatic growth. And I believe that I am that definition of post-traumatic growth, where I suffered such extreme trauma in my life. And based on everything that I went through, something sometime transitioned in me. And I said, I need to do something with this wisdom. I need to do something that can help people that are in or are about to be in a very similar lost space. You don't have to be lost, because when you are there, you're so confused. You have no idea where to go, what to look for, where to find it, because you've never had to do it before. So it's like you're in this whole new world all of a sudden. So, I just said there has to be an easier way. We have to be able to find a way to bridge these gaps. It's like business continuity, but why not do that in the nonprofit sector? So that is, it's hard for me not to mix the two, because those are my feelings and my personal growth that then bleeds into this, professional realm. So with that nonprofit organization and that strong desire to give back and help parents with children have a second chance at feeling safe at home for a healthier future, in California, SB 553 passed, not too long ago, for the Workplace Violence Prevention Plan, which includes domestic violence spillover. So now California is seeing how severe domestic violence is, and they're putting a mandate on companies to step up and step in to do the same thing and help fill these gaps. So now there's these requirements that you have to have a plan, prevention plan, reporting plan, response plan in place. And so when I read the bill, I was like, oh my gosh, how do they know me? This is like my diary right here that I'm reading.
Yeah.
So now I am a subject matter expert in SB 553. I do consulting. I have provided, several organizations training already, and I'm holding some training at the end of this month at the Better Business Bureau.
I love that. And I know that the legislation that, California bill, I think it's called bill, right? SB 553.
Yes.
It was signed into law. I think I looked it up when you were talking about it. It was like September of 2023, but it didn't really take effect until July 1st of this year. But I love that they talked about workplace violence, right? And so, Mike, do you have a question for Agape?
I knew it. I was like, yeah, if I'm not on mute, and I was. All right. So, because a lot of people don't know. I mean, I remember back in the 90s, it was a big deal, and everybody's like, hey, do something about it. And I haven't seen anything in the last 30 years, which is a daggum shame. So, can you share some common signs of domestic abuse, right, that are often overlooked or maybe misunderstood, and how we can help them reorganize in our communities?
Oh, absolutely. There are some significant signs that can be seen pretty quickly, which is, if you're just starting to date and it's, I don't know, 2-3 months in, anything less than 6 months, right? Like, use 6 months as a good measuring system. If they just can't get enough and they're just, I love you so much, you're so beautiful, I want to take you out, I just can't get enough, I want to spend all my time with you. Okay, there's a sign, because you know what? That's a little possessive. That's a little extreme. What were they doing with their time before you? And what's going on? Like, just really take a look at that, because that's called love bombing. Also, another sign, maybe after the 6 months, what is their temper? Are they punching walls? Are they mean to animals? Are you feeling a little detached from your friends, your family? Are you no longer doing things that you generally enjoy doing? Because that's another thing. Now it's becoming a little bit isolated, right? So other things like crossing boundaries. Are they speaking to you in a way that you would not let anybody else speak to you? Are you hearing sorry more than you're hearing please? Are you questioning what's going on with what you see in the mirror? These are a lot of things that, even if you don't see these things in your partner, you can start seeing these things within yourself. How are you? Are you sad more than you are happy? Do you not want to go home? Are you trying to find excuses and reasons not to go home? These are different signs on both sides. You could see it outward, and you could see it inward.
Oh, great explanation. So what about us? What about like friends? What about coworkers or employees? What are some of the things that we can kind of, pick up on, maybe to see if somebody needs some help? Like, are there overt signs, or I know they probably differ a lot, but are there some like kind of concrete telltale things that we can look for to say, hey, something might not be right. We want them to reach out to this person.
So this is going to sound funny, but when they are your friend, it might be harder because you know them well and they know you well. So they might be able to hide it from you a little better and you're not going to suspect that. And they might be embarrassed to share that with you because it is still a social stigma, unfortunately. On the flip side, if they're your friend, they're going to tell you. So it's kind of difficult. Now, when it comes to the workplace, as a manager, it may be a little more apparent, because there's a schedule, there's patterns of behaviors, right? You see this person coming in 5 days a week. You spend a lot of time at work. So how are they dressing? Is it summertime and they're coming in with a turtleneck with, covering body parts that everybody else is exposing right now? Are they consistently late? Or are they consistently early and staying late? Is the chatter around the workplace, is it positive? Is it negative? There are behaviors that you can identify without any sort of verbal communication going on.
Oh,
That
wow.
makes sense.
You and Matt literally have a thing for whatever goes in my head. Sorry to ADHD, like from my own hat, my pink hat, to now my crown. And Matt's like, bro, you got it. Oh my gosh.
Rapunzel.
Right? So here's the thing, Agape. There's so many ways. Like we had a conversation with Regina also about financial. Sometimes it's not necessarily physical or emotional. Sometimes it's mental and financial, right? And then people go, "Oh, she has everything. She's fine. She's probably just being sensitive." And her story really brought home to some of my friends that because sometimes these individuals are very narcissistic, they're very charismatic also, so they befriend your family and your friends to isolate you more, and that if you were to report them, you're the one who looks cray, right? Because they're perfect in the public eye. So those are some of the things that I also wanted to highlight. But what are some of the strategies do you find most effective when helping survivors rebuild their lives? Like for example, hey, I'm coming in, I just ran away because um I couldn't take it anymore and I took my daughter with me. How can you empower them to reclaim their independence and self worth? What are some of the things that CDV is doing?
So I will say that it is what you're referring to is pretty much the traumatic situation, right? Because you can't really start looking at rebuilding until you're out of that trauma. You can't heal or rebuild where the trauma resides. So when the individuals are in their own environment and they are at that space of rebuilding, there's 4 major pillars that I personally focus on. That is clarity, because without clarity, there's a cycle of return. Okay. There's forgiveness comes in, time comes in, it's not so bad anymore. But when you're clear on why you left, you'll be more clear on why you're not going back. So clarity is definitely the main one. Then we go to confidence, because that self-doubt that comes in. Am I going to be able to do this? Oh my gosh. Is somebody else going to appreciate me? Are they going to see me? I have to show up at work. Oh my gosh, they know I'm embarrassed. That confidence needs to reside within, because without it, you can again become this person that may start looking at that cycle of going back. Doubt is a very big player. And again, when I was saying earlier, learn how to intercept that voice. Okay. The other area is influence. It's very important that you know who you influence, because what you're doing, how you're responding, and how you're going about these steps in rebuilding, your kids are watching. Your kids are learning. That's that EQ that Mike was talking about earlier. Okay. So clarity, courage, influence, and most importantly, boundaries. I can't say most importantly, they're also important, but big important part is boundaries, because when you're in that space and you kind of lost your identity and you're trying to figure out who you are, you don't know where to put your boundaries really. So my philosophy is it's okay if you don't know who you are. You know who you're not. Start right there. Put your boundaries around who you're not and let that grow with you.
Okay, real quick, my show is serious, but we can't always be. So Matt doesn't want to fight over the crown like he does over the hat. So CJ, hand over the hat. You got a crown. You'll never wear the hat again. Okay, stop being funny. Right.
Ah.
Matt's like, I'm out. Mike can have the crown. No, I don't want it either. All right. So, but no, but on a serious note, we always think about the domestic violence, like the physical act of it, but most of that doesn't just happen, right? Nobody just gets abused. A lot of that's emotional. I mean, it's inside, and it happens. It can happen on social media. I've seen it. So watch out for that. Be careful, right? Be careful who you're letting into your orbit because it can happen. And as CJ had said, a lot of these folks, narcissists or whatever, they don't have. It's really, you got to be careful because they're really good at it, right? Like you're unsuspecting, and so you really have to pay attention. And that's why I love what you guys do, really educating people for those guideposts that they may just never be aware of. Like, hey, you can't overlook this thing or that way that person's treating you. You have to understand this is because domestic violence starts somewhere, right? And it starts subtle. It's just not like overnight, right? It's a gradual process, correct? It can,
Correct. And you really don't know where it is starting because it can
right.
be so silent. And like you're saying, when it's that emotional or financial or economical or technological, it's just gauge. You know you better than you. Trust your instincts, trust your intuition. And if you're starting to see that less and less of who you are is or more and more of who you are is being chipped away and you're becoming less and less independent, that also might be a red flag.
Absolutely. I've got a question. So, what challenges have you encountered in work, right? Specifically when it comes to addressing the stigma around domestic violence, right? And how do you guys work to overcome those obstacles?
Okay, so my situation or my experiences at work under the DV umbrella is very broad. Why? Because of course I went to work as a victim, as a survivor. So work was my safe space. Work was where I went to have resources. There was a fridge, there was a phone, there was heat or AC. It was like a second home. So I understand that. And then I also wore, the hat of a manager, and I dealt with employees that were dealing with domestic violence. Before SB 553 came into play, it was at your own risk. You had to decide if you were going to get involved or not, because most employers do not have benefits that cover domestic violence. They have benefits that may cover, mental health or porn, alcohol, gambling, but not so much for domestic violence. So it really is a case by case situation and, a personal choice, even at the workplace. So, and as HR, I dealt with managers, with domestic violence. They spoke to me, they felt comfortable with me because they knew my story, they knew my situation. So they were more open. Now, I also had a physical security company. So I really learned access control. I really learned those 7 layers of security and that critical infrastructure and that important communication channel. So domestic violence at the workplace, I'm very, very familiar with, and really communication and continuity is extremely important. You have to look at your culture and really know if your whole team is comfortable communicating, because without that, you're not going to be in the know. You will not be informed.
Yeah, and the training behind that. Companies may want to help him, but they don't know what to do. That's the whole point. Is like, hey, let me help you understand this, not just to be compliant with the bill and the law, but also just to help people. I mean, not everybody's equipped to handle this, right? And we don't hear enough about it. I don't know how long it's been since I've heard about it. And also, and I'll just throw this out there because I want just you guys are guiding this combo. I'm learning more than I'm talking, but it doesn't mean you have to intervene, right? It's really awkward like fighting and stuff, like, who wants to go up there and put their nose in it? But it's sometimes as simple as picking up the phone, calling the police, right? Don't just let it go as an argument. If there's nothing going on, they'll probably leave you alone, right? Like one day my bird was screaming its head off and I had new neighbors living below us and they thought there was something foul going on. I didn't get mad at that. No, it was my bird screaming. Look, CJ's got birds. You know how they are. It's actually a real fun story. I'll tell y'all later. But the bird almost, because I was like, oh, it's my bird, officers. I'm like, watch. I said, yell for daddy. Ah, and the bird's like, nope, you're going to jail. Like the bird knew. And as soon as the police left, the bird said bye bye. I was like, man, that bird left. But anyway, at least somebody took action. I went downstairs and told him, I said, "Hey, I'm not mad at you. I really do have a bird." And I brought it down. And I'm like, "Hey," I said, "but good for you. You know, like you just can't let things go on, man. I'd rather err on the side of caution here." What do you think?
That's right.
That
And I'd rather somebody get mad because I'm being nosy versus let that go and someone ends up dying or, just living a terrible quality of life. And I've seen it. Like I said, this is very, important to me because I have family that have been in this situation. So, speak up. I'd rather make a mistake and nothing happens than not to get involved or not to do something. I couldn't sleep at night, and
And you're hitting a really good point, because speaking up is where it starts, right? So I think we
yeah,
were talking behind the scenes, and I shared with you that there was an article that came out 2 days ago. It was two brothers in Texas heard the irate boyfriend next door, and they said, "You know what? We've had enough of this. Let's get up and go over there." And both men, brothers, were shot and killed on the spot. On the spot. They didn't even have 2 minutes. Okay, so it really is such a shaky ground to walk on. And emergency responders, that's the riskiest call to respond to. And with SB 553 now in place, your regular people at work are expected to be a first responder. So that training and that communication is imperative. And my personal opinion, there should be layers of training. You have your regular people that can be your observers and reporters, and then you have your people who are responding, and then you have your people who are making decisions based on the information that's being communicated, succinctly. So
wow.
important.
Yeah, when you said that, I was like, yeah, see, this is why. Okay, so sometimes even in friendship, right? Like I want to warn people about certain people, but then when I did that, it felt like I was gossiping. So I stay away, because if they want to deal with the nonsense, go for it. And then they come back, right? But with this one, I feel like, I don't know if you guys have heard of the 7 layers of consciousness.
yeah,
This is part
Yep.
of awareness, right? Like first you got to go in survival mode, then you got to be creative of how you're going to exit, then you're going to empower yourself so you can love yourself more, which is what Janice is talking about. And then you got to get self-expression, like how are we going to do this? If you need to cry, don't keep it in. If you get frustrated, talk to someone, right? Because then you're going to get a different insight from people, and then you basically go and into groups as a unified group saying, how can we help? Now, speaking of how we can help, because we're going to talk about the Sundays event, I want to know, because there's just, when I was looking at it, I was like, whoa, we have this and this and this. And does everybody know what Agape is doing? Like, does everybody know? So I want to talk about that and focus on, now we talked about domestic violence. Now we talked about the mad skills that you have as an expert out there, especially for organizations to bring up. And it's by law, it's federally mandated. So they need to kind of get in gear with that, and they can find you, right, to get this going with work people. If you're watching at work, HR people, hello. I want to talk about what are we doing on Sunday, right, for domestic violence, because people are like, oh, come to San Diego. But if our friends can't come to San Diego, they can still help. Can we talk about that?
Absolutely, yes. So the whole premise of Sunday's event, it's our inaugural gala. You only get to say that one time. It's inaugural the first time, and that's it. So, you know, we are still in the grassroots stage. We're only 2.5 years in the launching, in the making. So be able to have a gala at this point is just amazing in itself. And the whole point is to raise funds, not just awareness, because it is expensive to relocate. Relocation expenses are not, pennies, nothing to cough at. And that's the whole thing, is that most of the time when parents are leaving that toxic environment, they're leaving with whatever they can carry, which is pretty much a suitcase or a bag, and starting from scratch, starting from nothing. And that does not provide the most comforting situation or environment for the children. So to keep the children in their childhood or their comfortable space, their belongings should be able to go with. And I think that is very important. And that is the whole premise of raising the funds. We have a solid program that really helps fill these gaps. And on top of that, like I said earlier, being that resource for those, real-time callers that are in the midst of it at that moment, and they're just trying to get to their next need, whether that's in a doctor's appointment, getting their kids to and from school, getting to the grocery store to get some food. I mean, seriously, when you are in survival mode, you cannot think beyond what is needed in the next couple of hours. So it's not just about bringing awareness, it really is about making a difference. And although it's a very sensitive topic, we're coming together to support this as a community, to make an impact as a community. I'm calling this like the community project. Elizabeth Lynn Vargas is our co-host. We're going to have an MC, Tyrone Sumter. We're having a local band that was piecemeal. They were handpicked and put together. Oh my gosh, the All Case Pro Stars. We're having a Mediterranean cuisine. There's going to be raffle items, auction items from $10 to thousands of dollars so that everybody can participate. It's just going to be an evening of greatness because we're doing great things together.
So we need to share also maybe in the comment section the link for your silent auction that people can actually participate in. So we need to add that on our comment section, because even if you're not here, guys, we accept all kinds of donations from $5 to $10. And also some of our community businesses really provided us information, provided us items that we can auction. So we want to thank them as well. But at the same time, we really want to thank you for even sharing. If you don't have the budget right now, it's okay. But way of support, it's not just about money. You can support us by engaging with us. You can support us by commenting so that other people can see. You can support us by sharing the link that CDV has, and then also follow CDV, because we're going to have more events on there to actually show what we're doing for the community, right? And Agape is our mad leader. So it can't go any better, right?
Thank you so much. If you scroll down just a little bit more, you'll see the buttons that are for, keep going a little bit more. Sorry. And then there you go. Event details, tickets. There you go. Raffles and prizes, sponsors and honorees, and other sponsors. And then there's the go live, click to go to the live auction. So everything is on this one landing page, everything.
Nice.
And I think that's what Mike has right now under the live. Let me see, on my left side, on my top left, that QR code. Yeah, so you can get there with your phone if you are not on your phone. And we're also going to put it on the bottom of the comment section after we are done, right? Mike.
Already did it. It's all. If you go to my profile, if you go to the YouTube page, it's already there. And I will repost this on our YouTube. So Hounds, if you missed it, I will put it on the description post so you guys can find it. Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am, Crown.
You're really wanting that crown, huh? I guess I could
Purple
give you
Rapunzel.
gotta be purple. This is our color for this month. You know what I mean? Like, this is our color. I mean, I have a blonde one too, but I'm like, okay, we're gonna go purple. We're gonna go all the way for it. Agape.
She said, I can wear my hair and sweep the floor all at the same time. That's what that is.
Oh my
Seriously, man. Seriously. Especially if it's dusty.
Dusty. I'm Dusty. Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, that's so funny. So before I go, because I do have to teach a class, not this way. I got to get into my bun hair, my professor hair. Agape, what advice would you give to someone who is currently in an abusive relationship but is unsure how to seek help or where to start?
Well, the first thing that I say is speak up. Of course, you can contact confrontingdomesticviolence.org. I will help. I will listen. I will help. I will guide. And from there, we just grow until you get to the space where you feel confident. And your future is yours. You make your life what you want it to be. Moving on is the biggest challenge moving out is moving out. Moving on is the challenge. But let me tell you something. It is the biggest reward you can ever give yourself.
It's scary, right? I've
Yes.
seen a couple of them. They're like, CJ, it's scary. And I've seen people also like, this is why I like to watch SVU, because I get to see people who are there. Some of them have really been violated and they're so afraid to do anything because they want to stay in a life of comfort rather than free bounded by pain and suffering, right? Because we're comfort creatures. We like to be comfortable even though we're suffering inside, right? So for me, my next question would be, domestic violence can have a lasting impact on our mental health. How do you integrate trauma informed care and emotional resilience, not just into the work of the survivors, but also the children?
Yes. So I do not specialize in the mental health and or long-term recovery of that. What I do is I collaborate with other nonprofits and organizations that do help with that. I am really big on post-traumatic growth, as I shared with you. Depending on if the family wants what I have to offer, it's always up to them. Same thing with any class of hypnotherapy, EMDR, which is extremely effective, and anything else that is more of that long-term care. That is something that I refer out. I do have some coaching. It's Be Your Incredible Self, and it's through I am a certified high performance coach, so I pretty much follow the certified high performance coaching. But I do really, really highly recommend that you really find and seek someone that you connect with that can understand where you are and where you want to go, because that journey in between is what you need the guidance for, because doing it by yourself is harder, much harder than it should have to be.
I love it. So before I go and I leave you to the hands of my brother from another mister, who wants my crown, by the way? Hello? Like, no. I wanted to highlight, since I've met you, your mad skills, right? Like your compassionate advocacy for people that you don't even know, a stranger to you. You create a safe and really empathetic space for people. I'm not even a DV survivor, but I felt your genuine care for these people, right? Ensuring that they feel heard and also supported. I also love that you are saying, hey, I'm not a trauma informed specialist. However, I can speak to certain aspects of it, emphasizing that your expertise, but you also know your limits, right? Which allows you to address what a lot of these issues with emotional and psychological impacts, and also finding people who can actually work with us and our people that we can refer to. And I love that you have community leadership. You really like mobilize this resources, creating outreach programs, engaging advocate people, demonstrating these events, and bringing about the systemic change all at once, right? Still the knowledge and support you have, I'm like, whoo, sister, I am overwhelmed, and I don't get overwhelmed that much, right? But you're looking for like the legal challenges and the underscoring your knowledge about the legal system, even though you don't know everything about it. You know what you know, but you know someone who can help these survivors, and I love that about you. And speaking of that, I gotta say, Mike, good job on filtering people. Good job on filtering people. You have no complaints so far from me lately when it comes to giving me people, because you really took the time to see, okay, what is good for this person to do this. And I got to tell you, bro, you have mad skills of connecting people and knowing what they need, even if you don't know 100%. So thank you to both of you. Thank you, brother. I don't want you to cry though, because the internet might stop. Okay, I don't want you to cry, but I gotta go. Love you guys. Bye.
I know you do. We'll let you
Thank
go. I try not to let her go, but she leaves anyway. So thank you so much for this. You have a good time. We'll talk soon, CJ. Thank you for all you do.
Bye.
thank you.
And
Yeah.
my goodness. No, and it's even better. We got Julie Johnson and her great organization that are coming in who are trauma, right? Sarah's in part of that. And they deal with trauma and mental health issues, and they are trained for that, right? So, lots of good things coming in the hounds. Like, now your organization and the people that support what you do, can now tap in with their communities inside of the hounds, right? It's like a giant resource bank, is what we are, right? It's connecting good people. So, in oncology, right? Rochelle reached out with the oncology, the F Cancer Corner, right, in the hounds, and is reaching across to bring in the veterans, because we got a ton of veterans advocacy, and bringing them into it, right? So it's unbelievable what we could do together. So
That's
I'm going to
amazing.
wrap up with two questions. All right, just one more, and then really a call to action. But before I do that, I want to say I recognize what tremendous courage that you've had this whole time. Getting out of this situation, it doesn't happen enough. People can stay in this their whole life, or it can really cause residual effects, and they some of them don't heal. I had, like I said, family that I've seen that really never truly healed from this. So you're not just out here talking about it. You have come through it. You're not just an academic or somebody who wants to help. You're a practitioner. You've been there. And so what I think is remarkable and why I love doing these shows is simple, guys. There's help out there and resources, but the folks that are in the situation, they're not going to respond to that. They're not going to just show up to somebody's door and say, "Hey, teach me." They can't relate to those people, but they can relate to you. And that's what you are, is the catalyst, right? You're the person that says, "Listen, I've been here," right? We have resources, we have help. And maybe, just maybe, they see a show like this and then they go, maybe I am getting ready to leave this situation. Because you're right, leaving your life and put a little bag together and taking your kid, where are you going to go? Where's your money? There's a problem there. People feel stuck and trapped, and it's not for us to judge. Oh, well, you can figure it out. That's crazy talk. This is not okay. So first of all, thank you for what you do, and that you came out and now you're reaching back to help other people, right, and pull them forward. So that's all I wanted to say. I wanted to make sure folks knew, we get it. Right, the pack understands what it took, and that's why we're more than happy to help you, support you, and get people out there that can rally behind you. I know they are. The comments are bumping. Thank you, guys. So,
Thank you.
last of the two questions, right? What steps can communities take, right, to provide better resources and safe spaces for domestic violence survivors to rebuild their lives?
Wow, that is a great question. Communities in general, really, if they haven't been in a situation or are in a situation, they still don't know what resources are available, maybe even across the street from where they live. So if communities actually did some footwork, legwork, some investigating, researching, and had some resources that they knew in the area. Hey, if they are at a place of worship or at work or at the gym or at the hair salon, and they're talking and they're hearing, and they can then at the moment say, hey, you know what, I know of a resource right here in our backyard. I mean, because we all want to help when we know somebody is in distress. I don't care who you are. I don't think I've ever seen anybody that has just sat there and listened and watched somebody go through serious distress and do nothing. Okay, so if we had a little bit of knowledge, that's what we like to share and spread the most, right? Our knowledge. So if we knew what was there and we heard somebody was in need, we would be the first ones as a community. One person, two people, doesn't matter. We can help. And back to what I was saying, if these establishments have some um posters, in their establishment. Like if you go to the doctor's office, they have it in the stalls of the women's restroom. Are you in danger? Are you safe? Are you being trafficked? There's a bunch of questions. So if that kind of stuff was just more spread out and in people's face, there might be a stronger response. I know that Tennessee passed a law a couple of years ago where all hair salons, all stylists needed to receive training so that if their client was sharing their situation, they can provide help.
I just had a technical glitch. Okay, none of my stuff's working today, right? I don't
That's
know. Everybody
that's
told me.
up to good.
Yeah, no, but again, it's just being aware. You don't have to become an expert on this stuff. Look, you know that there's resources out there. Agape's here. There's an organization. There's different ones out there too. Just don't do nothing, right? Ask a question. How are you? Pay attention, plug in. So, any final words that you want for people who could use the help of the organization confronting domestic violence, um, and also employers that need help? Again, just to recap, with the new law and the bill coming out.
Yes. So here's what I want to say to anyone that is in need of help, and or anyone that is helping someone that is in need of help. If you get phone numbers and they can't help you, before you hang up that phone, you ask them for 2 or 3 more numbers. You keep calling and calling and calling every single number you get, and you do not hang up with that person until you get another one, because eventually you will find the one that has what you need and that will go the extra mile to help you out. I made over 1,000 phone calls before I got to my advocate. And I highly recommend finding an advocate, because they're the ones that knows what programs are available in your state, which ones are being funded, which ones are active, and they can be a direct referral for you. So do not give up on yourself. Keep going.
Exactly. Real quick before you switch gears, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. Do not worry about your manners. I mean, don't be rude to the people, but be persistent. Stay at it. This is your daggum life, and oftentimes a child also attached to it, and your quality of life. So don't. Oh well, that's all I got. No, go fight like crazy to figure this out, and don't take no for an answer. There's resources. You just might have to fight a little bit, but it's worth it. Right? You
That's
can't
right.
making a bunch of phone calls got to be better than living in a terrible environment and feeling horrible all the time. So, what's the next thing with the employer benefits and the things you can teach and help them implement that SB? Where do they go to get more help?
Yes, you go to contactagape.com, and there under events, you'll see what training I'm offering, when and where. So that's contactagape.com.
There we go. We'll make sure that's on the landing page as well. Thank you all. Thank you for all the hounds for showing up and supporting as you always do. Thank you, Agape, for using what you went through to help other people. Right, that's the key. Right now, it has meaning. You can help other people get out faster and recover quicker and become happy, healthy because they have something to do in life. And that's what this is about, right? Their value that they can bring to other people. Don't settle. All right.
That's right.
Grow that self worth, grow that self love, and tap in the resources and people who can push you up to do that. And that is Agape. That is confrontingdomesticviolence.org. Support their fundraiser coming up. All right. Doesn't matter if you live there or not. I'm going to support. Do what you can, share it with others, repost this, whatever it takes. Just little baby steps add up, guys. You all know that. So thank you so much for who you are as well as what you do, Agape. All the folks in the comments, and Dr. CJ, we know you had to teach. Thank you for all your support and for joining that mission, for joining the organization and really putting everything into it. Um, my goodness. So, hey, if you're missing out on this, you're like, what is all this hound stuff about? DM me, DM someone in the comments, ask. We have a group call. We would love to plug you into that. Life and business is hard enough. Don't do it alone, right? People, you have something to make, but maybe you lack the resources to support, and that's what we're here to do. Okay, so push people up and help them become and do what they're meant to do. Make an impact in this world. Don't settle for less. So, thank you all for coming. We'll see you next week. Have a great time, 7 p.m. and take care. All right. Well, let me go find the daggum. I'm so spoiled. All right, there it is. I found the outro. Princess Wade. I've been practicing. Bye, y'all. Thank y'all for stopping by. Be sure to follow, share, and like, and send me a message if you had fun today. Y'all come back now.